Recording in progress.
Good evening. This is the Historic Preservation Commission, and today is Monday, July 21st, 2025, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Wild. Present. Commissioner Whidden. Here. Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Keller.
Here.
Commissioner Beaucamp.
Here.
And Chair Haley.
Here. Thank you. And we'll do an approval of our agenda for this evening. If anyone has any changes, let us know. Otherwise, motion to approve.
Second that motion.
I think we need a first one. Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No, you're totally fine. We had a month off, so we're a little rusty. And then our approval for the minutes from our last meeting, which is May of 2025.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from May 2025.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any public comments on items that are not on our agenda this evening? Is anyone online? Okay. And seeing none, we'll move on to our probable cause, which is 601 Pine Street, and we'll have a staff presentation from our new staff person.
Great. Hi, everyone. My name is Jess Daniels. I'm the new senior planner. I think I've chatted with a few of you over email, so it's nice to connect the faces. I was previously at Adams County as a long-range planner, and before that, I was at the City of Port Moody, where I was a staff liaison on a historic preservation committee as well for 5 years. So I'm really looking forward to working with you all. So with that, I'll go into my presentation for 601 Pine, which is a probable cause case. So this property is located at the intersection of Pine Street and Grant Avenue. Just as a reminder, determining probable cause is how the Historic Preservation Commission approves grants for historic structure assessments. Landmarking is the criteria used to evaluate probable cause, and this is outlined in the Louisville Municipal Code. The HSA grants cover up to $7,500 for residential properties and $10,000 for commercial properties. And these grants are used for reimbursement for those HSA costs, and they are non-matching. So this slide shows conditions of 601 Pine over time. The photo on the left is from the Boulder County assessor card from 1950, and that card notes the age of the house as 60 years old with the comment old house remodeled. So this would place the original construction date around 1890, and from the social history report, it's also possible that a second portion of the house was built or added to around 1916 by the first owner. The image on the right shows the house in present day from July of this year, with some small changes to the exterior, such as a porch and awning, but otherwise the exterior looks to be in similar condition from the assessor card. There was a building permit issued in 2006 approving work to remove and replace the roof with sheeting. And the current owner of the house states that this house consists of 3 different minor shanties or cottages attached together. There's not presently much architectural information available for 601 Pine. It isn't listed in the city's architectural inventories, and there's no substantial information on the building in the stories in place, other than its identification as a national folk house architectural type. However, it does have a rich social history, which we'll discuss in the next slide, and that's detailed in the social history report as well in the packet. So in meeting the landmark criteria, the age of this building is about 109 to 135 years old. The property meets the physical integrity criteria as it's maintained its historic footprint from 1950 and has an interesting building character shaped by its social history and adaptive reuse. That social history exemplifies the early growth of Louisville as a working class immigrant community and a family history embedded in the building structure. So this includes the Ferguson family, who were the first family to occupy the building. They participated in the mining industry and were active members in the music community in Louisville. They lived in the property between 1905 and 1929. The property was rented out until around 1945, when it was acquired by the Doborski family, who has owned it since then. The Doborski family have been very active members in Louisville, very active in the social and civic life, including participation in women's clubs, serving on city council, and as a fire chief, and helping to acquire water for Louisville from Marshall Lake and El Dorado Springs. So as the property meets the landmarking criteria, staff recommend finding probable cause and approval of $7,500 toward NHSA. And then we also have the property owner, Mike Doborski, who's the current owner, to give a brief presentation.
Sure. You have anything, Josh, or
What's that?
you have anything?
Yeah.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And if you'll just state your name and address, city of residence or work for us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Josh. Josh Johnston, DAJ Design here in Louisville. I'll just say a couple of things about the house, and then I'll hand it over to Mike to share his knowledge and family history. Prepared a couple of things. I have been in the house. I've seen the basement and the crawl space, as well as the attic, and the framing and the foundation that I've observed support the theory that the northwest part of the house was part of the original construction, possibly with a front door that faced Grant. And then the east part of the house appears to be a very early addition. And it does seem possible that this part was moved from another location, just by the way the two structures meet, the way the gables are, and the wall thicknesses on the interior supports that theory, but we don't really have any concrete evidence of that without doing some deconstructive investigation. The south part of the house, however, we do know was moved by Mike's family from Superior. And this created the form of the house that you see in the 1950 Boulder County Assessor's card image. Some changes were made since that time, those being modifications to windows and doors, as well as new siding, all common things that we see throughout Louisville. It is likely that the original wood siding remains beneath the current siding. There's some visible in one of the east-facing gables. And then also the front porch was added. All of these changes probably happened in the mid-1950s to 1960s. However, nothing was done to the house since the last addition, and all these changes could be removed to restore the historic form of the house. I think the house is a great candidate. I know Mike is very motivated to preserve his home, his family history, and part of Louisville's history. So that's all I have to say. I'll hand it over to him.
Thank you. And again, just your name and city of residence for the record.
Thank you. How is that? Chair Haley and commissioners, I very much appreciate what you do. I drive down Main Street, and when I see one get scraped and not get replaced with something period correct, it just drives me crazy. So I do very much appreciate the work that you do. And DAJ has done a great job of replacing some of our scraped houses out there with period correct, what I feel is period correct builds that I think adds to the charm of Louisville and that old town character that people somehow keep coming up on the survey with. So I do appreciate that. As Josh covered, this year marks the 80th year this property's been in my family. I think technically, though, 1946 is the first year it was lived in. I've got in the concrete in what we call the batch or the garage area that was the living space while my grandfather butted up the family house with the other two. They lived in that space, and in the concrete is Eddie, my father's name, 1946, 7 years old. So I think that's pretty cool. We're going to somehow try to preserve that in that piece of the structure, but more so focused on the house itself on this venture. Isabel Hudson gave to me before she passed. She was a Ferguson or descendant of the original deed from the house, from the mine in the early 1900s to her family. I think it sold for $38. So I'm trying very hard to find that thing and locate it. I put it in a safe place, and I hope to have it before I'm here in front of you again. So I think that's kind of a neat little tidbit of Louisville that we can kind of hang on to. The old pickup out front, kind of a celebration of Louisville. It's been in Louisville, that 1956 Chevy, for its entire life. It sat in the same family, the Buffalo family, and was refurbished over the last decade or so. I ended up capturing that to keep it in Louisville for no other reason. So I've kind of got this thing going on there that I really like to see what's preserved in Louisville move forward. I've had contractors look at the house, and certainly the first thing they tell me is scrape it, start over. I prefer not to do that. I don't want to do that. So, I want to be able to carry on a piece of our legacy, and not so much just a homage to my grandparents, but the greatest generation. I mean, they set the foundation for our community to move forward and do it in the right way. I don't know how they got it all done and still completed their job at the end of the day, but they truly were the greatest. And it's the least we can do to celebrate that. I bought the home about 25 years ago, not quite. Started to remodel it. I did the kitchen, I did the bathroom. I retained the old Youngstown cabinets, so I have a full set of the Youngstown steel cabinets with the boomerang handles. And I look to keep those moving forward. The bathroom I did in stainless steel and black diamonds to celebrate the coal mining heritage in our community. And certainly my grandfather was the last coal miner as a result of his mine inspection time throughout the state. He inspected every mine in the state at least once a year. And he brought back whatever artifacts or old tools or whatever back to our mining museum or historic museum and he was kind of the mining aficionado in town. He even appeared in the 1990s history of Louisville that I think most of you have had a chance to see. And Jess, you might want to partake in that. It's a great watch. And a lot of those people were on my paper route when I was a kid. So good Louisville stuff. But I started to remodel the thing. I tore out the carpet. I tore out the tile. My grandmother loved Vegas. So she had Caesar's Palace type tile, that white tile with the gold inlay. It was a bear to get out of that thing, but I found the old hardwood underneath and trying to refurbish that. I found the spot where the old wood burning stove was in the kitchen, and it has burns in the fur that I think adds a lot of character. I'm not sure if we'll be able to retain that moving forward, but just neat things that you find in part of the treasure hunt. So yeah, if you see your way clear to move forward on this, I'd certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any comments from the public? We'll make sure there's no one online also. And then we'll bring it back for discussion.
I think this is pretty straightforward. I would agree with staff's recommendation that it meets the criteria. I admire that truck every time I drive by as well. I appreciate that.
I agree. I looked at the house and the different roof lines, and the gables, and everything going on there, and thought it's a really cool, fun structure that it would be a shame to see it lost. So I don't see any problems with it.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a very unique structure. I walk by it all the time.
Yeah, and it definitely meets our requirements as far as age, 50 years or older, has incredible architectural integrity, and then tons of social history. So I think that's a slam dunk. So,
And it looks to be in pretty good shape still.
yeah. And we appreciate the heart you have behind it. Like, that's incredible just to have all that, so.
Thank you.
You want to make a motion?
I
Unless
would-
you want to say something. Either way.
I'd Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I agree with everything people have said. You know, you can see that it had the enlarged exposure siding put on it, so, you know, bringing that back would be awesome. And just turning back the clock a little bit, but other than that, I think it's a pretty easy decision.
I'll make a motion to approve probable cause for 601 Pine Street.
Second?
And we'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Wilt,
Yes.
Commissioner Whidden,
Yes.
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes?
Commissioner Keller,
Yes.
Commissioner Bocamp,
Yes.
Chair Haley.
Yes. All right, thank you. Staff will be in touch as far as next steps with the HSA, and obviously DAJ knows the process really well. So we look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's right. All right, then our next item is our work plan and subcommittee updates. We'll have staff.
It's probably a little hard to read, but I've put the work plan up from a previous presentation. So the first one is the grant program update. I'm getting up to speed on this, and we're planning to bring something back to you in August or September with an approach on how to update this.
Does that microphone come any closer to you? Can you pull a little?
I'll try to lean in more. Okay. Oh, okay, perfect. That's easier. Okay, great. The next item is public outreach. Update the online map, which features landmark properties. And there's a subcommittee, I believe, working on this.
We've been going, I've been going through anyways for downtown Louisville and tried to separate it out into 6 different quadrants to chew on that a little bit. I have 3 of the 6 done right now. So I would like to complete those over the next couple months and just bring that back for information. Really trying to label it as opportunities, I would say moments that were lost as far as items that have gone by and been scraped and rebuilt, and then structures that are priorities or seem to be possible priorities for historic preservation. So.
The next item is creating a walking tour around Old Town, and there's a subcommittee for this as well. Sloan and Linda.
So I did sit down with Gigi Yang from the Historical Museum and talked about their walking tours and how we might be able to utilize some of their resources to collaborate. And they're working on walking tours that are based off of viewfinders, you know, like the old fashioned with discs. And she'd be happy to collaborate on something like that, which I think has great potential for what we do and showing people sort of past and present in the context of a walking tour. So we'll keep working with her on that.
Creating an updated brochure or flyer highlighting the historic preservation program to be distributed to the public, and that's subcommittees Sloan and Marty.
Yeah. Sloan and I really need to get together, and I would suggest
Sure.
maybe in the next week or 2, setting
Sounds
up
good.
time, and we'll jump on that immediately and get it going.
And then finally, identifying in-person events in Louisville to participate in a booth promoting the historic preservation program and answering questions. And that subcommittee is Chelsea and Talbot.
Chrissy and I have met a few times, and we were able to get a lot of help with other members. Sorry, thank you. For the Summer Fest that was on July 7th, Marty and Chrissy, I believe, did that one in the morning. Yeah. And then Linda and I did it in the late part of the day on that one. Also, June 14th, we did the farmer's market with Keith and Chrissy was in the morning. And then Sloan and I did the afternoon. I thought both of the events were very successful. We had a lot of people stopping by. We do realize that some of our materials are getting weather worn, especially people love the big old map like this. And so we're going to look at wanting to talk with you about funding for getting a new map made, a new copy of it, and some of the other materials, some of the things that we just have to check, that like the little stickers the kids love, and the crayons, and a lot of different materials. So we'll follow up with you on that. I know we have a meeting scheduled to get together and do some of that. But I also got the list from those couple of events. I've got 4 or 5 people who gave their information, requested to talk to somebody a little more about our efforts and what's going on with it. And even one young lady from Denver who works with a Hispanic outreach group that works specifically to help with restoring properties owned by families who are Hispanic. And she talked to me and wanted to know if possibly she could get to know more about us. So I'm going to talk to her first. But from our discussion then, it sounded like she would be willing, if the commission is interested, to have her come and do a presentation to us about what they do and pick our brains to see if there's some way we can collaborate with them and have more outreach to that community here. So I'll follow up with her and let you guys know at the next meeting what I found out about that. Let's see, what else did we have going on here? I spoke with Sophia at the museum as well, and talked about a few of the things that are coming up shortly here. The soonest thing coming up is La Fiesta at Memory Park, and she thought that might be a good spot for us to put up our booth and give out information, because there are several different groups there have done some historic stuff. That's August 10th. I'm going to read off these different events, and then we'll talk about, we need help. Yeah, I'll reach out to Ron Buffo about that event to find out for sure if there's a space that we could use. But I want to talk more tonight about whether we'll have people to man it that soon, because it's coming up quickly. September 13th, there is one of the walking tours that the History Museum puts on, the Museum Walking Tour Memory Square, they call it, which it is a walking tour of Old Town's historic schools and churches. So it sounded like a great meeting spot. And what Sophia was suggesting, that we might be able to set up a table, so as the people are gathering, getting ready to go on that walking tour, we don't want to rain on their parade, but be able to, while they're looking for something to do while they're milling around, set up a table. That would be a quick and easy one. Then there is the old-time baseball game, which I'm on the fence about how many people at that event are going to want to talk, but it's open for us to discuss. That's September 20th.
They have really cool uniforms.
Cool
Gigi
uniform.
found, they're looking at upgrading the uniforms for that.
Ooh.
We have the miners' cabins there, which would be fun,
Yeah, that's true.
but I don't know how many people actually go. I don't know. I've never been actually.
Yeah, I've never attended it, but I think it would be fun.
No.
And then September 27th would be the next Trees of Louisville tour with Chris. If everybody probably knows Chris Likey from the city, who is our tree expert. And that would be, again, a thing where we just go to the Historic Museum, where they meet for that tour, and be able to talk to people for 5 minutes before they head out. And so that's another quick and easy one. I did ask Sophia if they'd be okay with us dropping off some of our materials that we're using at these events. They have their little library inside there, and we don't have anything there. So she said she'd be happy to put that, any information we bring there. and they had a walking tour brochure. So I don't know if everybody is familiar with it. I hadn't seen it before, but there is a dated walking tour.
Well, and they're working on upgrading their technology for tours, so they're integrating Bloomberg Connects with their programming at the museum. So there's going to be, I think, a lot of opportunity to collaborate and utilize the upgrades that they're making for their walking tours, so.
Good. Yeah, I think that's all I've got, other than to reiterate that a lot of people had questions, so I think we have a lot of opportunity to get in front of some people and follow up on it. I don't know how we want to go forward I know staff has put out some reminders that we have slots to fill, and I believe we still have some slots to fill for the next, what is the next farmer's market, I believe is the next one on the calendar that we, Christy and I both said if we have to be the ones doing it again, we will. We're hoping that Jess will be with us.
I'll be there, yeah.
Good. And then maybe a couple other people could fill the slots instead of Christy and I. So if you want to think about it and then let Jess know if you are able to fill the slot.
What dates, I'm looking for that email, what dates was that? It's coming up really soon.
That next one coming up is, I can tell you in 1 second here.
Talbot, it's August 23rd, if that's helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do that one.
Pardon me?
I'm gonna try to do that one at some, so I just need to double check real quick, but I should be able to do that one.
Great. So then we hopefully get 2 more. You guys, yeah, we're
I'll
not
see what we have going on. We've been doing house remodel stuff on Saturdays typically, so we'll see how it goes.
This would be a good excuse to get away from that for a bit.
Right? The honey-do list only grows then.
Anyways, yes, please just follow up with Jess if you decide that you have time. And like I said, Christy and I won't let it go unmanned. We'll fill those spots if we need to again. That's it for my update.
Thank you. That was the last item on this slide.
What was that one?
What's that?
Do we have a subcommittee for this one?
No, this is a new item that I'm going to bring up. Sorry, I was just waiting for you to be
Sorry.
ready. It's
I'm
okay.
sorry, I was like waiting for the subcommittee. I was like, I don't think we have a subcommittee for this. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just writing it down. You're welcome to keep going.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
This is an item on the draft historic marker policy. So the museum is spearheading a policy that addresses criteria for reviewing and approving requests for historic markers in the city. So they've requested feedback from the HPC as well as the museum board and potentially other committees and commissions. So there was a detailed, oops, sorry, 1 second here. Technical challenges. There was a detailed 2-page document in the agenda that went over the key criteria, but just a summary of it. It was defining the time period, so it had to be a site or individual that was within a 50-year time period, or if it was an individual, they had died. And then there were 12 historical categories proposed that those markers must meet, at least one of them. And then the policy also outlined funding, the review and approval process and procedures, where these markers could be established location-wise in the city, and then other processes as well. So if you have any feedback that I could pass on to the museum, that would be great. And I do have it printed off if you want to go into any more detail on anything specific.
I'll look at it printed. Do you say you do have it printed?
Yeah, or I could bring it up on the screen if
That'd
that's
be great,
easier.
too.
Okay,
Either way.
let's do that.
What's that? Oh, okay, good.
Okay. Let me know if you'd like me to walk through it or if there's anything in particular you want to discuss.
Could you try and summarize, you don't have to go through everything, but the categories, you mentioned there's 12 categories that they would need to meet.
Sure. So the first thing, maybe just to backtrack, so the subject of the marker could be a site event or an individual, and it must have a minimum age requirement of 50 years or more, or if it's an individual, after their death. So in terms of the significance in those categories, they have to have a demonstrable level of significance, so not just popular appeal, and their contribution should be historically established. So those categories are subjects associated with the settlement of the area before the establishment of Louisville in 1878, associated with the development of Louisville, including early government and incorporation. So this could be related to the mayor, town trustees, or city council, town manager, city manager, or departments or other functions. Subjects associated with public and private facilities and services with the community, such as water, electricity, gas, and telecommunication services, newspapers, postal services, medical services, etc. Those subjects associated with the land development in Louisville, in terms of subdivisions and neighborhoods, including ethnic neighborhoods, the histories of individual buildings, or other patterns related to family compounds or families living in proximity to one another. Subjects with economic activities in the area, such as coal mining and mining-related businesses, agriculture, and retail and commercial businesses. Subjects with social and cultural activities, such as faith communities and their buildings, civic, fraternal, and arts organizations, community events and festivals, domestic life and recreational activities. I think I'm about halfway, so maybe I'll pause and see if there's any comments on those first 6.
I think those all sound good to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
I'm going to ask a question because I'm not sure either. Is this a new program for the museum? Have they shared that information with us? And then I'm seeing that the museum's going to maybe fund it, but it might be private requests. Have they shared with us?
That's what I understand. Yeah, I haven't had a comprehensive overview, but it is a new program.
Okay.
So I think they're just in the preliminary stages of establishing this policy to guide the program.
Okay. So I don't think we're sure what they would look like or anything like that
Sure.
at this point yet.
No, and
Just the criteria of what would.
the criteria.
warrant.
And as we go into the policy, there is some, I thought I remember reading something about the design too, but I think the idea is that this commission would potentially be involved in reviewing the design. So depending on what form it would take and what kind of subject matter is how I understand it, but I can also get clarification too if there's any questions on the actual policy from Gigi to report back at the next meeting too.
Okay.
Then we think that this program is something that's going to be broadcast out and anyone in the community could,
Propose or
could what?
propose a,
Yeah, could propose, or elect, try to elect someone into
Recommend,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand it'll be accessible on the city's website, and then this policy will accompany that and kind of guide the what would qualify, and then everything around the location and design as well, and funding.
Okay.
Would you like me to keep working through the last 6? Would that be helpful?
Helpful.
it was, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and so other criteria would be subjects associated with the migration of people to the Louisville area, those with relationships to Louisville area residents, to the broader world. So education within the Louisville area, such as school buildings and activities. subjects with individuals and families who've resided in Louisville or have a connection to the development of the Louisville area, subjects associated with geographical features of Louisville, and then finally, subjects associated with natural history or archaeological material acquired through the lawful excavation of Louisville area sites. And then there's just a few process highlights in this policy as well. If you also want some more time to sit on this, I can always bring it back in August too. We didn't have a deadline from the museum as well, so there's no rush at this point.
Obviously, the structures are first and foremost on all of our minds, but I'm trying to think of other examples that might come up. For instance, Miners Field, would that be something that would be considered? The caboose, I mean, what else, what other type of subjects could you guys envision?
And I think where it's relevant to us could also be like people that are associated with place, you know, like residents of a historic home or a business or something like that, that might warrant a marker. And I also just think about like the design of it feels important and the continuity of design, and so that it's easy for people to understand what it is that they're seeing.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Like the Steinbach Pavilion.
Yeah.
Like those kind of places that aren't landmarked but significant. Yeah. And even like the ditches that run through, like that
Right.
would be like an agricultural.
Memory Square, potentially.
So I think it's a good idea. I think it's pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously, it'll be a review process. We're not just going to cover the city in plaques everywhere.
Right.
But, yeah, and so
I would
I
hate
guess,
to- go ahead.
and they'll have a combination of all the different boards and advisory boards, like, as far as the decision of what actually gets marked, so.
I would say, like, one of my questions, I'm just curious about the review and approval process, like who decides
the
who
final-
should be reviewing and approving? Because not everybody's going to review and approve
single
every
one.
application, so like how does that really work?
That's
Yeah.
the departments. Yeah.
Sure, I'll ask clarification from the museum when the HPC would be involved specifically.
I'd be interested in hearing why there was a limit on if you already have a marker of some sort, why you can't have a second marker. I think Mike, was it Dombrowski, is that the last name? The applicant tonight was a perfect example of someone who maybe is going to end up with a landmark on this property, but also, what is he, third or fourth generation now? And the types of things that he did, or,
Right. Or he could have one for his father.
right,
Or that kind of
grandfather, you know, something with, when there's that much family blood into this property, and more so than just the property. So that'd be interesting to debate that, whether that's really a requirement or not. I like the idea overall.
And I would imagine too, there'll be a difference between markers that are on a building versus outdoor markers, like the ditch, like that would be a much different designation or marker than something that was on a building, so that's kind of further down the road, but just kind of interested in what that looks like or that kind of thing too. So yeah. And it'd be community recommendations is where they would get the applications, is that right?
I believe so.
Or anyone could. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess in general, like, sounds like we're pretty supportive, but just a few other questions. So I don't know how formal that is, but if you could get extra answers, that'd be great.
Sure, yeah, I would be
think
happy to do that.
We don't have glaring issues or anything.
Were they asking for this to be brought in front of us for a vote on whether we approve of it or not, or just to get some feedback on whether we like the idea?
Just some feedback on the draft policy as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think it's
Yeah,
pretty good. It's well done.
I can report back on next steps with the timing as well in August and answers to your questions as well. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, our next item is updates from staff.
Okay, so an alteration certificate was approved by subcommittee at 816 McKinley Ave for installation of solar panels. A demolition permit was approved for a shed at 1040 Lafarge by subcommittee as well. Sorry, I think I didn't say demolition permit was approved. We also wanted to bring your attention to two upcoming commercial grant requests. The first is for 540 County Road, which is the green elevator. They've submitted a grant application request, and staff have asked for more information. So we're currently waiting for the applicant to provide that before we do a thorough review. And then the next one, staff completed a conceptual review for 800 Main Street, the Wildwood Guitar Building. So they're planning to submit a new PUD and seek landmark status and extraordinary circumstances. So this isn't yet submitted, but both applications will likely have substantial grant requests. So we just wanted you to be aware that these are coming in the next few months. And then the next regular Historic Preservation Commission meeting is Monday, August 18th at 6:30 p.m.
If I could add real quick, just to so in August, I know Jess is going to try to bring some information on updating the grants, because I know that's probably your big work plan item, which I think she mentioned. And then the other thing we're going to bring to you is we discovered recently that there's supposed to be a minimum contingency in the Historic Preservation Fund that is approved on an annual basis. And to my knowledge, that hasn't been done maybe ever.
What does
But it
that
is-
mean exactly?
So there needs to be a minimum fund balance, right? So you have to say, whatever we decide is the minimum amount that we don't want the fund balance to go below, so that we don't miss out on opportunities.
Sure.
So we need to establish a minimum fund balance, so we'll bring back some information about some discussion on that. So just something to think about. And if you have any requests for information between now and August, let us know, but we'll try to put some thought together and start that discussion so that we can start doing that on an annual basis.
Right. And before we have two commercial grants come through?
Yeah, some large commercial grants
Yeah.
and some other things.
They
so.
could be looking for a chunk.
Okay, no pressure. All right.
Can I ask that we get a summary of what's been put towards the grain elevator previously? Because I think that would
Yeah.
actually help to inform decisions and have a little information.
Yeah, I think
already.
when that application comes before you, we'll have a lot of information about what has already been provided from the Historic Preservation Fund and other funds, other city funds to support that project.
And will there be a pretty detailed, like, timeline of exactly what happened and what the whole process was as far as the grain elevator in general, just for people that weren't
Yeah,
on the commission? Does that
Yeah,
make
it's got a
sense?
long history and a lot of detail.
great.
And there's several previous agreements surrounding it. So I think it'll be, when you get that staff report, that's probably one to spend a little extra time
Right.
reading through so you really understand the background. And then, of course, in the staff presentation, we'll do our best to summarize it as well. But definitely, the staff report will put a ton of detail because there's a lot to
There's
put
a
in
lot
there.
of details, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great, thank you.
One of my questions regarding that one would be just as far as coming to us multiple times for different funds, like a single family residence, that's not really able to be done, as far as I understand, as far as like coming back multiple times for different grants and everything else. So I'm just curious on how that one plays in there in particular.
Yeah, absolutely, and we'll discuss that when the application comes. I think generally, within our funding resolution, anybody can come back with extraordinary circumstances and request funds. There are grant amounts that you max out at, you know, of course, for commercial and residential, but anybody can request extraordinary circumstance funding. So, again, that's something that we'll discuss.
That's great. And you can also, if you get bored, look through old minutes too.
If you
But-
get bored.
Yeah,
And again, I would just recommend, if you will try to include, just because this is a property-specific application, we'll try to, you should all be reviewing the same information.
So don't
So
do
we'll,
that.
we'll, yeah, don't do the research on your own, but we will, we'll try to give a really thorough record. And if you
Okay.
feel like we're missing anything, we'll provide that information for the whole commission
Okay.
to review the same body of evidence. Yeah.
okay. That's great. Good clarification.
I have a side note for anybody who's interested. Since our house was on the tour of landmarks this year, we hope to be moving in before the end of August. Andy Johnston and I were talking that it might be nice for the commission members to see a project in its completed stage instead of in a muddy disaster like we saw during the tour. If you remember, it was a monsoon like, and the house was still very raw. So if any of you are interested, you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to give you a tour. Or if several of you want to do it all at one time, and that's fine too, but including Jess and Rob, anybody to see a finished one being put to use. So.
That's great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other commissioner updates? All right. Last item is to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right, thank you.